Here's your reversal yesterday. Pulled back at the end of the day. That was just the market maker. Gap up on news today. The CPI was, not super hot. It's kind of as expected, a little cooler. A little bit of a dump in the morning, but reversal now. And the question is, we're back probably, I haven't looked, but probably 555 and 560 is the range. So the question is this the bottom? So, and if it is the bottom, is it time to start buying some long trades? Or should we short some more? Well, I don't think you can short now until you are through with the bounce. And once you're through with the bounce, I think you got to take out the low here, and then it's time to maybe think about adding some more shorts. So what do we need to see in order for us to really commit to the long side? And I was hoping that I was going to be able to do some buying here at lunchtime. And oh, by the way, if Wednesday is your day to buy, like you just get all of the indicators lined up and you're saying, tomorrow I'm going to buy something. I like the market action. If it does this, I'm ready to buy. Don't buy first thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning is the worst time to buy. The best time is usually at the end of the day or during lunch. So what you want to see is either the premium decays all the way down on current options. People are closing their positions. You could put some new positions on then. And or you could put new positions on around lunchtime when volatility is quiet. You know how we talk about how in CTV during lunch, you get this kind of choppy action, kind of compressed action during the lunch hour, the lunch box, because the volatility is lower. That's a good time. If you're going to buy, that's a good time to buy around that time period of day. Does that make sense? Just put that little note somewhere in your head when you're looking to buy. And that's why legacy sessions are good, because we're coming up on lunch. And so if we wanted to buy, this is a good time. So what conditions? Well, let's take a look at the daily chart here on the SPY. Here's your 200. So you really don't have a recovery until you get back above the 200. But you might want to think about entering some longs just to get a piece of the action as we start moving up to it, because what you could see is a bit of buying up to around, what is this, 572, 570-ish. That would be quite a move, right? I mean, here's 560, here's 565, here's 570, something like that. I mean, that's quite a move actually to here. And if that happens, does this fail and then drop? So you could wait and just sit on the sidelines until you get a close above the 20 and then see if you can push higher. Or you could try to take advantage of this move up if it happens. So what do we need to see? So let's look at the VIX first. So the VIX is pulling back a little bit. Get the hourly chart here. You got the daily here for perspective. You can see this topping pattern here. This is pretty aggressive. Market doesn't get above 30 very often. 27 is kind of a magic number. It's the 1 ATR, and this only happens about 11% of the time. So 88% of the time you are in this range. 89% of the time. And 11% of the time you're above 27. So there's a good chance that this was the top, meaning in SPY, we hit the bottom. But the true confirmation is first to get below 27. Check. Now the next, level that we really need to see breach is 23, and then 20, and then from there, right? So I would say you're on your way there with the VIX. The hourly chart is already showing, for the most part, kind of a lower high here, a little bit of a lower low, sort of. So the VIX is definitely on its way. I'd like to see it get south of 23. So that's one. Number two, I want to see the dollar start to make a move, some significant bounce off of this treacherous, awful looking chart here. So this is, foreign investors have lost faith in the US economy, so they pull out of their positions in the US dollar. That's part of what's happening. Also, currency spikes in other countries and such. But, what I really would like to see, I started to see a little bit of it, little bit right here. Look at the hourly chart. Is this the bottom? Is this the bottom? This oversold daily. Is this the bottom of the dollar? So you really want to see the dollar move higher. I thought it would today on some of the data that came in. It seemed to like it. It was coming into the day in a positive way. We got the report, it pulled back and then came back up, and now it's back down. Let's see if it can hold this and move higher. So I want to see the Dixie start going higher. We already see yields going higher. That's the 10-year. So if yields and the dollar start working their way together like this, and the VIX gets below 23, that's part of the equation. Like to see the Russell lead the way. It started to, but then it kind of fizzled. See this lower low, lower high? Before you can really see a recovery, you really need to see this, because usually the Russell leads the way. Right now, it is not. So you don't have this. You have a little bit of the VIX, but not completely. You don't have the dollar. And obviously you want to see some money flow coming into Apple, which we are not. So this was showing relative strength. Now it looks like it wants to dump a little bit more before anybody wants to buy it. Amazon looks like it's trying to recover. I like this chart. Look at this thing. So this thing already bottomed out a couple of times on the daily RSI. Now it's trying to get above the 200. If it gets above the 200, this is a good chart, right? Because you look at Apple, Apple already is like way out of it. Microsoft, not looking that great here. It's starting to turn, trying. So this is not bad. But Amazon getting above the 200 at least gives me a little bit of hope. Meta, there's some flows coming back into Meta. But Meta, I think, has a big AI bias. There's an AI conference out on the West Coast, I think. So NVIDIA is getting a little bit of action. But I don't think I want to buy NVIDIA. It's just a little too volatile. But at least it's getting some inflow of buying. So Netflix was up yesterday. It's green today. So Netflix is getting some action. Microsoft is getting a little action. Google is getting a little bit of buying. So these are good positive signs that the mega caps are starting to get bought a little bit. But I still don't see the VIX dropping low enough, the IWM really making enough headway to lean in on the trade. So what I did was I just took a little bit of a long trade, Did like a 4 wide vert on SPY just to get my toe in the water. And if we can get above 560, I'll take profits on it and then kind of roll it and go next week. Maybe go 563 or 564, even maybe 565, 570. But not until I see sort of a bit more of a recovery here on the Russell. Some of the charts I like, in addition to Amazon, as we pointed out yesterday, I like JP Morgan. Look where it just came right back down to the 200. Right to the 200. You know what's interesting too? Speaking of JP Morgan, so there's a fund. There's a fund that has a put spread collar every quarter, and so JP Morgan, they have this long portfolio, so it's a hedged portfolio. So what they do is they sell out of the money calls, and then they use the money from the out of the money calls that they are selling to buy out of the money puts. You guys understand? It's called a collar. And this level right here, let's see, yesterday. It was from September. And they don't just do it on JP Morgan. This level here on SPY yesterday, the way where this bounced from, if you look it up, this right here is where the JP Morgan collar is. Isn't that fucked up? So they sell a bunch of out of the money calls up here, and they take the cash and they buy puts here. And that's where their puts were. Right where we bounced off of yesterday. How fucked up is that? I like the strategy though. Like you would go out and sell, whatever. You sell the 580 calls on SPY, and then you take that money and you buy the 550 puts with it in case the market goes, like this. You've financed the cost of this already by selling these. And you make all this money here, and that's a hedge on your portfolio since you're long here. It's just it's called a collar. There are other ways of doing it in your own portfolios, which I'm going to be talking about in about 10 days or so. And that is, like, let's just say you have a ton of NVIDIA in your long portfolio. Well, what if the market really corrects? I'm going to lose a lot of money on NVIDIA. So, and I've got, when you have 100 shares or more of NVIDIA, you're going to want to protect it. So what you can do is you can sell a covered call on NVIDIA, something like maybe like the 120. So you sell the 120 call because you don't think price is going to go above it. And you take the money from that, and then you go ahead and buy the 100 puts. And you do that for, say, April. So now you're kind of covered in case NVIDIA drops, and loses 15% or whatever it is, and drops down to, $90 or wherever your cost basis was, you'll at least make money on the puts. That's called a collar. If you were looking to do a CTV, like to see these turn a little yellow first, get a little pullback here while these stay blue. At least get a little bit of yellow on this lower line, which is the RSI. If I could get that, and then a switch back over to blue, that would be entry for the next CTV. All right, so let's get back to what it is that I like. So I already showed you Amazon. I like because I think this needs to catch up. I like where it's sitting right now, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger on it yet. Out of all the banking stocks that we analyzed yesterday, this one came up to be the best. Look at it. It's oversold on the daily, oversold on the hourly, bouncing right off the 200. I like this one. We looked at software. That's IGV. Getting kind of a lift, nice return off the bottom there. It'll bounce off the bottom, oversold, moving higher. So you could take this one, or you could look at some of the, like Now is great. I've got that in my portfolio, but these are expensive options. So, maybe CRM, not as expensive, same chart basically. Would love to see it get above the 200 period moving average first. If it does that, it's probably over the daily, weekly 50.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video from Trade With Me Now. Make sure to go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel so you make sure that you catch our next video right when it's released. Also, if you have a question or comment, please leave that in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to learn more about Trade With Me Now or join our community of profitable traders, go to tradewithmenow.com. There's also a link in the description below.